I think everyone in Chase. This is Planet Fitness. This is an app that I created. It allows the user to input a goal weight that they want to reach, and you can track their nutrition details and what they should be having in a day, and track their exercise as well. A little bit about me. I played football here for 4 years. I took AP Computer Science Principles along with AP Computer Science A. I'm currently in AP Calculus AB. I'm going to be majoring in Computer Science at CSU this fall. This was all kind of my inspiration behind the project. I know going into this class I want to take on a coding project, give myself a little more experience before going into college. And I picked something that I could be passionate about, so I chose a fitness app as something that I know I could use myself. These are my advisors here. My expert advisors, I had my dad along with his friend, Thomas. They're both software engineers at NASDAQ, so they're helpful for coding, and they had experience working on projects, so they were able to give me kind of insight on how I should be attacking this, and were able to help me with coding. I had my mom as a support advisor, but she's also a professional software engineer, so she was able to give me advice with coding as well. And then finally, my friend Nick, he was a support advisor, gave me some emotional support, as well as he has a lot to relate with me, as he's also in CSU for computer science. One advisor I do wish I included, maybe like a nutritional or fitness expert. There's a lot of parts of my app that weren't exactly tested, or I don't know if they were accurate completely. So having someone like that could have made it more accurate. So my things that I want to accomplish through this is first learning a new coding language. I learned Swift because this is what is used in Xcode. Xcode was the development environment that I used to make my app. It's specifically targeted towards like Apple things, so those are things I had resources to. I had a Mac and an iPhone, so it was the best way for me to test it. I wanted to learn more about health and fitness. This could benefit my own health, and then I could use this app on my own as something to reach my own goals. I was able to add this project to my resume and kind of like prepare myself for the future. Taking this project not only gave me like experience before going into computer science in college, but I also knew that if I took this project, it was something I didn't enjoy making, I didn't like the process or any of it, then I'd be able to reconsider what I was going into college for, because this is something I want to pursue as a career. And then lastly, I wanted to publish that as an opportunity to make money. This did not happen though. This is because one of the databases that I use, it requires a subscription for it, and that'd be about like $1,000 a month to upload the app, so I did not do that. So the first part was learning Swift. This was a Code Academy course I used. This took about 4 weeks to do, and going back, it was really time consuming, it was really easy, and I already had a lot of like coding experience, so it kind of just re-familiarized me with everything, and it was very similar to code that I already used, which is Java. So going back, I probably would have like cut down a lot of time that I spent on this, because it did not teach me as much as I learned from just going in the app and then learning through my own process. Google and ChatGPT were helpful resources for me to learn, and I could have used extra time. This was a practice code I created, kind of something that I thought I would use in my app. I included an exercise class as well as a nutrition class, and they had functions in order to get kind of the intensity of an exercise as well as different nutrients for food. So my nutrition and exercise research, this is where I got all of my formulas and calculations that I can use within the app. This is the difficulty level. This is what I used for like when taking in the time goal that they had and the weight goal that they had. If it was harder of a goal for them to reach, it would obviously give them a more intense nutrition recommendation, as well as being able to like modify how intense their difficulty is based on like if they were not reaching the goal that they wanted, but they were still hitting the nutrition suggestions. These were the nutrition value calculations for all the nutrients that I use within the app. This was the calculation to see how many calories someone burned. The MET value is something kind of used to determine the difficulty of each exercise and how many calories you burn. The calculator that I used kind of gave like a broad thing for like light weightlifting or heavy weightlifting, and I thought that was too broad, so I wanted to kind of like expand that for all the exercises. This is somewhere where I definitely could have used kind of a fitness expert, because I kind of just went through a list of a bunch of exercises and kind of just rated them based on my own experience and knowledge, which I don't think was accurate. Next was Xcode tutorial. So this is YouTuber Code with Chris. I used his course to kind of learn how to use the app. And once again, I don't think that this was like the right way for me to do it. It was very time consuming and I learned very little. All this app that he did, which we kind of went through and like, taught me everything, it familiarized me with the app, but all this did was kind of like randomize a bunch of cards, so it wasn't that helpful. So I started out with my goals page. This is where the user inputs their date, their weight, their height, all of that. And from that, I would use those later to calculate the nutrients that they needed, and as well as track their progress. During this process, going back, it was probably like the easiest part to code when I was doing it. A lot of it was a learning process. I seen at one point that every time I'd make a new line of code, there'd be an error. So there was a lot of research going on, and I would like go into ChatGPT, ask it something, and then I would learn from there and be able to build off of that, which made the next few pages a lot easier. But the main problems I ran into while doing this had to do with like crashes, because when the preview would crash, it wouldn't give me an error and specify like where I was struggling. So I had to kind of like find new ways to test the code, go through, make print statements and everything to discover where the issue was, and then research why that issue was happening. A lot of them were pretty simple fixes, but they took me a couple days to figure out. This one, for example, I had a goal data class that included all the like variables that were used across each file, and all I really needed to do was add to the preview, but it took me a while to figure that out. Because a lot of issues like this, I began to lose the motivation, and this was my original timeline. One thing I will notice is that like I originally thought I was gonna like kind of do everything at once, but after talking to my advisors, they kind of told me that I should break it down. They talked about a minimal valuable product, and so I tried to make sure that I had at least something that I could look at, something completed, so I instead changed it to working on each page at once. At this point, I was pretty on track with my goals, but I started to slow down, and this is going towards spring break, and so I stopped putting in a lot more effort, and so it went from looking like this to kind of looking more like this, where I was crunching everything in the last few weeks. It was really difficult for me, and a lot of it just had to do with bad time management. There was also a lot more difficult problems that came within the last few weeks working on the other pages. And this was the nutrition page. I started out by creating these displays for each of the nutrients and getting all the calculations for all the calories, water, everything for that. And I thought I was being able to just throw in this database that let me search for all the foods and then apply it to each of these variables, but it was not that easy. For some reason, looking for the API key and trying to request it, it was really confusing for me. The like documentation for it was kind of like scattered, and so I spent kind of a week trying to do this, and it wasn't working out so well. So at that point, I just kind of moved on to the fitness page. And at this point, I had probably like a week and a half left before my presentation, and so I wanted to get as much done in as little time as possible. And so I used ChatGPT as a source. I pretty much just came up with my own code at one point that I knew wouldn't work, and I had all these objectives that I wanted to hit. I wanted a sorting tool that could like suggest all these workouts for the user. They could sort through maybe like different muscle groups, different types of exercises, whether they could do that at home or not. And when I plugged this into ChatGPT, it gave me a whole bunch of code. I was inputting it and getting a bunch of errors, trying to fix it. I got to a point where, I didn't even know what code I was looking at. I couldn't fix it. So at that point, I had to kind of keep what I could, scratch everything. So now I had like 1 week left, and I got to work. I made a new tool instead. This one just kind of searched through all the exercises, let them pick up their own. They're able to put in how many reps, sets, or time that they spent on it. And then from there, they'll get amount of calories lost from that workout that they can have. After I completed this, I was pretty satisfied with it. And so I tried to give the API key another shot. And with the help of my dad, we sat down for a few hours. And he kind of showed me how I'm able to test it, how I'm able to implement it. And eventually we figured it out, and I was able to get to work and try to integrate it into my code. And I got everything finished. I had a bunch of stuff that I still needed to fix. There was a lot of calculations that were off. There's a lot of previews that were showing incorrect things, and I still have some things that I've noticed that show off numbers at times. But over that last week, I spent about 40 hours working on this, and so I learned a valuable lesson about just time management here. But honestly, it wasn't that bad of a time, which was a good sign for me. I was able to listen to a lot of music, watch some movies. And then here's a video previewing it. So I'll select a date, put in my weight, as well as goal weight. And then my height, gender, age, and then from there you'll see a suggested amount of nutrients I should be having in a day, and I can view these information things. These kind of give details on each nutrient. I can add these foods. It'll give me the nutritional information on them. Once I add it, it will track it for me. And then for the fitness page, be able to create a name for a workout. This one I named it a push, so I made a push workout for myself. Right here you can search, it'll give you kind of suggested results based on what you type in. Once you click here, it'll input all your reps, sets, or the time spent on it. And then from there, it'll calculate how many calories I lose from this exercise and how long it will take. And I can add that or subtract it. And then from here, when I'm tracking my goals, I can see my progress, as well as increase the intensity of it. And I'll keep clicking this until it has a maximum point, so it's going to keep working. And then this is just a preview of my code. I'm not really going to go through all of it, but this is what it looks like. This is the goals view. And then the nutrition file. There's a lot of parts where I can work on organizing it better. I know that a lot of it was kind of scattered at points. You can see in this one. I had a list of 140 exercises, and for some reason I had to include it twice, and I feel like fixing that. Alright, and then lastly, these are some things that I wish I included. Uploading to App Store, obviously that was too expensive for me. creating user restrictions. So there's a lot of times where you could like say that you weigh like 30,000 pounds and you probably don't. Being able to like remove foods and workouts, like things that you've added, or just like fail safes in case the user does something that they didn't mean to. Suggesting workouts for the user, again, that little search tool that they originally planned on using where they can sort through everything and then have those workouts suggested to the user based on specific needs. A search tool for the foods, so a lot of the like foods, specifically like branded foods, you're able to really search for. If you search for like a Chipotle burrito, it'd give you a Chipotle pepper along with a burrito. So it'd be helpful to have like a search results thing to show what kind of foods you can look for. Having it easier to understand and interact. A lot of people when going around and testing my app, they had trouble navigating through it, and then I guess it wasn't super clear. Whenever you had to like enter a value, you had to click submit, and a lot of people were missing that, and it was like making the app not work how it's supposed to. Testing to see if it works. So I never got to test to see whether if I follow this plan that it gave me, whether I would reach my goal or not. That would also be helpful if I had a nutrition advisor. Compatibility with Apple Watches or just Apple things in general, they have a lot of tools like heart rate and step tracking that I could have implemented into my app. And that is all. Any questions?
Using Swift UI, or do you like that?
Swift UI.
Did you find ChatGPT as an obstacle or a good code writer?
Mostly for me, it wasn't really a code writer. I used it mostly, I mean, besides the one part where I struggled, I used it mostly as kind of like when I had errors that I didn't understand and I couldn't fix them on my own. It was kind of just like a research tool. So it was pretty good. Yes, sir.
Do you plan on continuing this and maybe eventually after like obviously not this class, but maybe publishing it to the App Store in like 6 months if people are
No, I don't. I don't see this app having like any like benefits to other fitness apps. It was mostly just like the process for me, getting the experience of it.
How much does it cost to publish something fast?
So originally there's like a $99 fee for any app per year, but because of the database that I use, if you need multiple users on that database, it requires a subscription of like $1,000 a month, so I wasn't going to pay for that.
What gave you the idea for you to do this project?
Really just, I mean, choosing something that related to some of my interests. There wasn't anything specific about it that I wanted to make something new or anything, just kind of the experience of it.
As an advisor and a software developer, I just want, you sounded pretty disappointed that you went down one path and things weren't working out, so you abandoned it, and you maybe had some things that were working, but it wasn't meeting your expectations. It happens a lot in software development. So we do, you go through something and you find some things out, and you scrap that, and you improve on the process that you just followed, and you get continuous improvement that way. So that's a normal path on software development.
I think he did. Yes, he did.
What's with the name?
So I took inspiration from a gym called Planet Fitness. But it's spelled differently.
Is the purple color scheme also red?
Are they purple?
Yeah.
Oh.
So if you had to restart from scratch, how long do you think this process would take you, now that you've learned so much?
I mean, really I did all the last 2 pages in like about a week, so I'd say probably under a month. Is that all? All right. Thank you.